In the previous video, we just created this class, the YouTube downloader class, by bringing in PyTube and OpenAI. And in the constructor, we put validation logic in there so that the correct link goes in when we instantiate it. And then we created self.client using OpenAI. And we had a validation method for all the other methods. Then we created these methods: display video attributes, display available streams, and download the video, and tested them all in here using a valid link. This time we'll cover this method, download audio only, and transcribe audio file. Let's start right here. All right, so here's our method. As usual, we have the link validation function at the beginning. Then we invoke our YouTube object, which is self.yt. This is something that we created all the way up here in the constructor by invoking the YouTube class and sending a link through it. And the YouTube class we brought in from PyTube. So with that object dot streams dot get audio only method invocation, we get our audio stream ready, and then we invoke the .download method to get the actual file downloaded. And at this point, we do a check with os.path exists on the file name, because at this point, if it is successful, our file name should be right here, just like the video file right here. Otherwise, we're going to flag an error. But here's the thing. Once we get that file, even though it's an audio, its extension is still going to look like MP4. So what we have to do, we have to just get the base name and then split up the base name into name and extension, select the name, and then put our own .mp3 as an extension to rename the file. So at this point, our audio will have the .mp3 extension. And here's something extra cleanup I'm doing, is because in my experience, when you're working with files, the file names that has spaces in between may cause some trouble, from OS to OS. So what I do is I use regular expression by importing this RE library and replacing all the spaces with dashes. And you'll see as soon as our MP3 is produced. And at this point, finally, when everything is ready, I do os.rename, base name to MP3 file. This MP3 file has all the spaces replaced by dashes and the extension replaced by MP3, and we return the file. That said, let's test it out. All right, so here I kept the same video URL and created this object YD by instantiating YouTube downloader class that we created up there and passing this link through. And since our method returns the MP3 file, so I'm gonna take this in this variable, and with the object dot download audio only method invocation, we're gonna have our file name here ready to go, which we will print it out. And at the same time, once this is successful, our audio file should show up right here. That said, let's run it. All right, downloading the audio stream. This is the original name, .mp4, right? And then we took the name, separated it out, extension and name, and then we remade it by filling the gaps with dashes or hyphens and with the .mp3 extension. And let's check here. It actually replaced that old video file and gave us the MP3. And now we can go to the next step. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and build out this method, transcribe audio file, where we will send the audio file as an argument and also a not English clause, just in case we are sending a foreign language URL. And depending on this Boolean, we're going to have our whisper do different things, transcribe and translate. Okay, so let's bring in our method. All right, so we have our method here. where we take the audio file and a boolean called not English. The default is false because most of the video URL we're going to be sending are going to be English. But in case if it is a foreign language one, we're going to change this boolean when we invoke this method. And first we check whether the audio file is present or not. And in our case, it is. Then we divide the transcription logic in two parts, depending on whether it's in English or not. The only difference being, if it is a non-English, then we will implement this method, point.audio.translation.create, and use the Whisper1 model. And in case it's a English video, we just implement client.audio.transcription.create and the same model. That's pretty much the difference. And once the transcription object is created as transcript, our actual text will be under transcript.text. And that's what I'm going to print out. And if it is non-English, that will be under the translated text. Or if it's in English, then the text. Simple as that. And now that we have our transcript text, now we're going to turn that into a file. We just take our audio file and split it into name and extension, and take the name from there and give our text file this name, transcript dash the file name .txt. And then we will write the file using f.write transcript.text, and then return the transcript file name. Now let's go test it out. All right, so previously we used the same video file or video URL and extracted the MP3 file, which is this name and exists right here. So now we're gonna just go ahead and invoke our class object yd.transcribe audio file method, pass this MP3 file that we created right here, and print out the transcript file name that it's going to return. And once this is successful, our text file will show up right here, right? So let's run it. Starting transcribing, that means it is going with the English track, not the non-English track. All right, we have our content visible right here, and our file name is this. Let's check here, and right there we have our text file available. TXT is too large of a name anyway, but then again, this is the file we're going to use in the next video to summarize. All right, so that said, let's try one more thing where we're going to go ahead and implement this one, because we will bring in this new URL, which is French news, just to show you this right here.
Info Intox, c'est avec vous, Anthony Saint-Léger. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
All right. So now you know that's the video we're transcribing this time. So let's first create the MP3 file. All right. So this time we invoked our download audio only method and got this, and let's check it out. Yes, our file is right here, and this is an MP3. That being done, now let's move to this next step. Here, everything's going to be the same, only difference being this not English will be true. This is the new boolean that will go in, and let me go ahead and run this, and immediately you see not in English translating. So that non-English logic kicked in. And let's see what Whisper does this time. And boom, there you go. Our whole transcript in English. And with that, we finish part 2, where we just extracted the audio, transcribed, and translated the text using Whisper model. And next, we're going to use GPT and prompt engineering to summarize it.